Hello. Hello. I'm Forshaw and I've got a problem. I know I'm supposed to start like, hello, but I didn't feel like that today. Sue me. Thanks for everybody that's listening. I already said, I wasn't going to say, this whole podcast. And I already did it. That's it. Last one. Thank you. It's tough not to say it now. I'm thinking about it too much. Thanks to everybody that's a new listener. Thanks to all the old listeners. Thanks to all the future listeners. That means when you listen to this after it's not new, like once you subscribe, you will hear this and be like, oh, he was talking to me because I started on episode 25 or whatever. Thanks for all the comments. I haven't looked at the comments recently, but I know people put them in there and rated. And thanks for telling other people to listen because the numbers are growing slowly but steady. Appreciate it. Thanks to Pam again, donated again. Pam, you the best. I love you. I'm not going to tell you how much, but it was close to 6 figures. That's all I'm saying. So pretty cool. I think it was like 90 grand. So thanks, Pam. I don't know what you do, but I appreciate it. No, I kid. But no, thank you. All donations are accepted and put back towards the show. There's a donation button on forshaw.net. Go there and see. I've got a lot of upcoming shows. I think I've added one in Sarasota, Florida now. I got a huge Florida run. Things are shaping up. Come and watch me at a show, please. That's how I make the money. Have I said or again? I don't think so. I think I'm doing good. We got some phone calls. I almost said it there. We got some phone calls that I'm allowed to play. I asked you guys, send them in, and they said, play them. Put them on there. Let's get to them. Crap, I just said. All right, first phone call is from Maggie. What do you got?
Hi, Forrest. It's Maggie. This voicemail is not private. Just wanted to call and say thank you for doing the podcast. I look forward to it a lot. I work for an airline, and it was a really shitbag of a day. So driving home, listening to you, trying to zone out in traffic is always wonderful. Mr. Merman podcast, I know you think everyone came from ID Cat, but I really did like that one. Hope Dave's doing well, and thanks for doing this. Take care.
All right. Thank you, Maggie. Thanks for calling in. That's how we do it, people. We get it started. We got to prime the pump. No questions on there. That's fine. You don't have to have a question. You work for an airline. What airline? Hook a brother up. A travel. I'm just kidding. You don't have to do that. But yeah, I imagine working on an airline, whether you're on the plane as a flight attendant or at the counter, or the worst one is the kiosk, the counter right by the jetway there. You get some heat. You get some angry people, dickheads. That's for sure. The pilot, they got it easy, huh? They just go in there, they close the door. Even when they got to take a piss, they block that with the drink cart. Like that's supposed to stop terrorists, I guess. No. But thanks for listening. I forget. I said again. Crap. I did enjoy doing the Merman podcast too, but we couldn't do it anymore. I guess we could keep. I don't know. Now I'm doing this podcast for a lot less than we did the Merman, so maybe we could, but it was costing a lot, and we weren't getting anywhere with it. Plus, Dave's drunk all the time. No, not all the time. Just I think probably half the time. But if no one knows what I'm talking about, I'm sorry. You can fast forward to this part. I used to do a podcast called the Merman Podcast with Dave Williamson. There's about 80 episodes out. Listen to it. It's still good. But thanks for listening, Maggie. Thanks for supporting. Glad that this makes your day better somehow. I don't know. Some of these are pretty depressing, but I appreciate it. Thanks for calling in. That's how you do it, people. We got one other call here. I think this is my friend, John. Let's see.
Hey, Forrest. It's John Vieira. What's up? Dude, I'm so happy I got into your podcast because I finally figured out the mystery of our friendship, which you never laugh at any of my jokes. And I always took it personally and just thought that, I wasn't very funny. But now I realize that it's just because you're never happy. and nothing excites you. So I'm writing again, bro. Get ready. Got some new material.
Okay, look, I appreciate you guys calling in and getting it started. That's my buddy John. He's new to the podcast. I know he is because we just talked about it. He didn't even know I was doing it. That's how bad of a job I am doing of promoting this, by the way, as a person that I'm friends with didn't even know I had a new podcast. So, got to do a better job. John, you think this is why I'm not. I think I'm happy. I'm a like grumpy, happy curmudgeon kind of guy. Your jokes suck, dude. Your jokes have sucked since I've known you, since we went to high school together. You've had dad jokes, so maybe that's it. But let's hear your new material. Thanks for listening to the podcast and calling in. Look, I have questions. So today's episode is just going to be me, and I'm going to answer some questions again because a lot of people send in questions, mostly to my Instagram. You can email me. You can send DM me on Instagram or Facebook. I'll find those. If you send that on TikTok, I sort of do TikTok. I don't know what's going on with that. Like the inbox is a wreck on TikTok. I don't know what they're doing there. Damn it. That's again. That's like 6 times. X, Twitter, whatever the fuck that's called. I don't really check that. So just send it on Instagram or Facebook. One of those two you should have, whether you're old, young, or in the middle. And I'll answer your questions. That's what I'm doing today. But I appreciate you guys using the phone. Call as much as you want. 305 Joe Rang. 305 Joe Rang, which is 305 563 7264. 1 is the country code because we're American. We're number 1. We are number 1. And everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. It's pretty clear. Now it's time for our favorite subsection of the podcast. I've got another problem. Kick it.
I've got another problem.
Airline ticket prices. It's funny you called in, Maggie, because I'm going to bash the airlines today. I don't know if people even care about this or if they travel as much as I do, but everybody's flies. Not everybody, but I think most people listening to this podcast have flown before or bought an airline ticket. What the fuck are they? What is this system they have where a flight to the same city on the same day costs different? And don't tell me that it's a seat, the amount of seats left and the supply demand bullshit. Because there'll be a flight from LA to Atlanta, let's say. I fly Delta, so that's a big LA to Atlanta. Same amount of seats left. If you leave at 6 a.m, it's $350. Let's say, I'm just throwing a number out there. And if you leave at 1 p.m, it's $920. Some bullshit. Like that's the only. It's first of all price gouging, which I think is illegal, but somehow the airlines get away with it because all the airlines do it together, and there's like fuck everybody. But not only that, and there's no other business where you would go in and you'd be like, hey, how much is this T-shirt? Well, right now at 10 a.m, it's $20, but if you come back in 3 hours, it's $50. That's literally what they're doing. Because I haven't been on. I've been on maybe 1 or 2 planes that haven't been pretty much sold out in the past year, and I fly a lot. So they're filling the planes ever since they decided to make these like hubs, and this is where you fly in, and we'll have like regional jets fly out of there. They started doing that 20 years ago or something. That was smart on their point, on their part, because it made it more efficient for airlines to be able to operate, and they filled planes more. So they solved their problem of having empty planes. But they didn't give a shit. They still just fuck with the prices. They have this thing on Tuesday, too, where we raise it up. Oh, do you need to get somewhere last minute? If you have to get somewhere last minute, it's because you didn't know you were going, probably. It's a funeral or somebody's sick and you got to get there, or there's an emergency going on, maybe with one of your kids or relatives, or something with work last minute. So you know what they do in a situation where you're really stuck in a bind? They jack up the price as much as fucking possible. Oh, do you need to get a ticket the day before? It's $12,000. Go fuck yourself, all you airlines. Or you can fly Spirit or Frontier, where they pretend to charge you. Oh, it's only $100. Do you want to bring a bag? Do you want a cup of water? Do you want to breathe more than 3 times per minute? Then you got to add these add-ons. So I fly all the time. I fucking hate them. There should just be this. Hey, if you fly from this city to this city, like cabs, you go to Las Vegas and you get in the cab at the airport and you're like, if you're going to this zone, or this zone, New York City too, zones, this is how much it costs. They know how much fuel they're going to burn for the jets. Just figure it out. Fuck you guys. I'm perfect. All right. That's my other problem. All right, let's get to some questions. I'm by myself this podcast. I think I told you guys that already, but I'm just going to answer some questions. I'm going to piece out. You know what I like about this podcast? Very little editing. Probably. I might listen back and try to get all the ums out. I think there's 6 so far. And that way I can be like, at the end of the podcast, well, I didn't do any of them. Nobody cares for us. Nobody cares. All right, first question. I don't want to put on my glasses because it doesn't, like, I have to put them on. First question here. I know that many people consider addiction a disease. Why is that? All right. Okay. I don't know. I'm not going to be able to explain this good enough that a doctor of somebody that studies addiction and studies how the brain works with addiction. I do have a person coming on, a doctor, that will be talking about that. But all I will say is that, you know what? Let me look up the word disease. Let's start with this. This is how I always do it. This is a trick when you don't know anything. First of all, let's look up the definition and then I can bullshit you. What is the definition of disease? Does anybody know? Disease, death. A disorder of structure or function in a human, animal, or plant, especially one that has a known cause and a distinctive group of symptoms, signs, or anatomical changes. So yeah, I think that's why people consider addiction a disease, and it is a disease. It's a disorder or of structure or function in a human. Definitely function, not the structure. I don't know if anyone has gotten a tumor from gambling. Maybe drugs. I don't know. Yeah, you might have. I don't know. That probably you could get cancer from smoking cigarettes, but I don't know if that's what we're looking at here. But it definitely causes a distinctive group of symptoms, signs, and anatomical changes. I think it's tough for people to look at it as a disease. And by the way, first of all, let me just say, it doesn't matter if it's a disease. What the fuck does it matter if it's a disease? That's like, if somebody was on fire and they came running out of a house and they were on fire and they're like, help, I'm on fire. It's a disease I have. This is a terrible analogy, I think. I'm usually really good at analogies, but this is a bad one. Let me try and think of a better one. If somebody said, no, I think my point is that whether you think it's a disease or not, people are fucking up their lives with addiction. So what does it matter what it's classified as? I think people get upset with that because there's probably people that don't want insurance involved or something like that. I don't know. But this is a thing in our society. I've talked about this in my act too, is we separate what our in health. We separate all of our body from our brain for some reason. We even call it a different thing. We call it mental health. You don't, you go to see a doctor that specializes in all these different, some specialize in heart or, orthopedics or something like that. But then we separate mental health and therapy and stuff like that. We separate it into like a different category, almost like it's not part of our health. And I think it's only until recently where it's become more open, and especially the new generations that have come along are openly embracing therapy and where it was more taboo and people didn't do it as much. It's a pretty standard, not standard, but pretty commonly used thing. But it's not covered under normal health insurance, which is the beginning of where all this crap kind of starts. It's, if you have health insurance, why wouldn't therapy be covered in it? But that's the disconnect we have with our brain and the rest of our body. And so when you tell somebody you're an addict, which can have physical effects for sure, obviously we've talked about that, but it starts in the brain, and we've talked about so much in this podcast about a hole you're trying to fill, or sadness, or the escape from reality, or whatever it might be. But it's while there is a lot of physical addictions, especially with drugs, alcohol, things like that, it all starts with your brain. And I think that because we have that disconnect, we tend to just, when people say addiction is a disease, it becomes like this abstract thing. I think it is. I'm not explaining this well, but this is at least why I think that sometimes people will say, oh, it's a disease, it's not a disease. But again, it doesn't fucking matter. I'm going to have a doctor on and we'll explain it way better. But I can tell you that for me personally, the way I look at it is I've had family members that have had a cancer, and if it goes untreated, it just ravages you, and it continues on, and it continues growing until it kills you. And with it, my addiction that I've had, if I'm not doing anything, if I'm not doing therapy, if I'm not going to meetings, if I'm not doing the things I need to do to prevent myself from gambling, it works the same way. It infects every part of your life, and it destroys you eventually. And so just in the abstract way, it works too. But again, what does it matter? Here's a good analogy. Let's say you're on fire and you ran out of your house and you're like, help, I got a disease. I'm on fire. God, trust me. I promise you I'm good at analogies. Anyways, I have a doctor coming on, and they will further explain this. I got a lot of doctors coming on. I'm excited to have doctors. I have doctors coming on and talk about different things. One of them's treatment. One of them's like talks about the disease of the brain, or the disease of addiction. And I'm a little bit we'll see. I don't want them. I had to really write in there like, hey, it's humorous. It's not like we're not making fun of shit, but I don't know. Doctors aren't the funnest. I like to have a little fun in here. Is this fun? No. Okay. Next question. I said, again. Fuck. What is your craziest gambling story? Okay. Well, I think I've told some stories on here. Craziest story. I don't know what my craziest story. Crazy is like a weird word. I think what I'll try to do is just tell you a quick story each podcast of just how fucked up I am. And maybe that helps. I don't know. But I was just talking about this the other day. I was institutionalized for 48 hours. I think I've mentioned this before. It's called Baker Act. In Florida, there was some politician last name Baker. And I mentioned this with Rosebud Baker, I'm pretty sure, because not Rosebud Baker, her husband, Andy Haynes, and then he made a comment. So I must have mentioned it then. Anyways, if they feel like you're a threat to you, if they feel like you're a threat to yourself, they will put you under observation for 48 hours, which happened with my mom and cops. I explained the story. So I'm inside this place. I have a roommate who is hearing voices in his head, and all these people that have all these different mental issues and stuff going on. And I decided I got to still be gambling. Even though I'm in there because of gambling, I'm going to gamble. So I picked up the phone. There was a phone you could use to call out. It wasn't prison, so you could call. And I called up a bookie that I knew. And the TV would be on one channel, and it was never when I went. It was some bullshit. It was always like some reality show or some shit I didn't want to watch. So I didn't know anything that was going on. I had my phone. I didn't know anything about sports that were going on. I just called up my bookie, and I said, what are the lines? Like the lines on the games that you gamble on, like, you know. And he said, what game? I go, any game. Just give me a game. He goes, what do you mean any game? And I said, just tell me a fucking game and tell me the line. And I think it was Seattle Mariners, like -80. It was a baseball thing. It was -80 or whatever it was. And there was a basketball one in there too. And so I just said, without even knowing the other teams, I said, give me against them. So fucked up I am. I didn't even know what the game was. I was like, I don't like them. Give me the team playing them for whatever, however much money it was. I don't remember. And give me the other team that's playing. And I want the under on the total of, I didn't even know the lines. I didn't even know the lines and the team was playing. and I'm gambling from the place I'm institutionalized 48 hours, but still there. I was there with no shoelaces on my shoes, tongues flopping forward so you don't hang yourself with the shoelaces. And then I didn't even know if I had won the bets or not. You know what I did? I convinced somebody to change the TV was like behind this like kind of grate so nobody could fuck with it or ram their head in. I don't know what the fuck. And I convinced the person that had the remote control to put on CNN, which nobody wanted to watch, but it has the ticker on the bottom with the sports scores. And I just watched it crawl by. Everyone else watched the news, I think, and I would just watch the thing. I don't know if it was Seattle Yankees or something, and I was just like, oh yeah, Yankees are down another run. Just for the crawl for probably 4 hours. I just watched the crawl update, and that's how I knew that I had won or lost. I don't even remember if I won or lost. What a miserable fucking life that is. But that's what I did when I was in there. And I even at supposedly would be somebody's rock bottom, I was like, nah, let's take this lower. I'm in here with a person. I remember there was a woman in there that thought she was the Virgin Mary. She kept saying that. And she was trying to kill herself by holding her own breath. Yeah, that didn't work out. It was, yeah. It was a good thing for the staff is she's like, I'm going to kill myself by holding my own breath. Everyone's like, okay, cool. We don't have to. We're cool. That's not going to work. Imagine if you did do that. What the dedication it would take. You know those monks that light themselves on fire or lit themselves on fire in protest? I believe it was in the Vietnam War. I think maybe even recently there's been some people that have lit themselves on fire in protest. That takes, as fucked up as that is, that takes so much self. I don't even know what that takes to just sit there and not even move as you're just. But whatever willpower is, that's the wrong word, but whatever is driving that person to be able to do that, maybe those people could hold their breath and kill themselves. Those would be the only people, I think. Try it at home. You know what? I always encourage people, if you're feeling suicidal, to call these numbers at the end, but I feel confident saying, you know what? Try and hold your breath and kill yourself. It's not going to happen. Cut to lawsuit. I don't know about that podcast. Killed 2 people. So that's not, I don't know if that's the craziest story, but it just gives you an idea of, I mean, if you're an addict, you know, if you're an addict, you're not like, you're like, whatever. People, you know, snort right before they go into those places, or they would sneak drugs in there, you know. You know what else they had there? They had, I remember I had to do group sessions each day. There was people in there that were in there for a long time. So they had a mixture of people that had checked themselves in. They had the Velcro shoes. They knew they were coming in. And then the people that were put there either by the cops or their family or whatever to be observed. But some people were in there for a long time. I was not in there for a long time. So they'd have these daily activities where you get together, and they had this thing where we'd sit across from each other in groups of, lined up in groups of, I want to say 6. And so we were 2 teams of 6, something like that. And they put bowling pins in front of each of us, little plastic bowling pins. And they asked the easiest trivia questions, because a lot of these people really zonked out on certain drugs and stuff like that they were given, you know, to sedate them. And you would be asked a trivia question. If you got it right, you got to bowl a little plastic ball, and you tried to knock down one of the pins in front of the other person's, and whatever team knocked down the other team's pins first won. And boy, I was like a hero in that, because I was not on it. I wasn't doing they didn't give me any like sedatives or anything like that. And they didn't think that I guess they decided I didn't need it. And so I was pretty with it. And the questions were really easy. It was like blank. This was like, this mouse is, you know, the face of Walt Disney or something like that. It was like Mickey Mouse, but it was really easy. And they just thought I was like a god of trivia, I think, because I ended up giving other people answers. We won, crushed it. Actually, you know what? I'll tell you what. Whatever it is about being mentally ill, there's some of the dexterity and hand-eye coordination was not good. The bowling, you did have to hit the pins, but we still won. Okay, getting off track here. What's our next question here? Okay, put the glasses back on. The subject of smoking weed over other worse addictions comes up on this podcast, even though you try to avoid it. I do, but it does come up. Is there anything like that you've tried for gambling? I think that's kind of funny. No, like I didn't. It's funny. Last year, around the last time I was gambling, I I have a friend. I don't know if he listens to the podcast, but I have a friend. I have a friend that I actually did damage to because of my addiction back in the day. A friend of mine that he let me use his bookie. Don't ever do that. Like if you know somebody has a gambling problem, don't let them use your bookie. And I used his account and I racked up a lot of money on it. I was able to get the guy to switch it over and just put it on me, but it was kind of like Rounders, that movie. I don't know if you've ever seen that. Matt Damon and uh, Ed Norton. And Ed Norton gets out of prison and fucks Matt Damon's, kind of doesn't really fuck his credit up, but Matt Damon takes on his responsibility. It was kind of like that. And so I don't know if I've ever apologized to him. I mean, we're still friends. He comes out to shows and I see him and I'm friends with his family, but it never occurred to me if I've ever really made amends about that. But that's for another podcast. But he is a poker player and he is really good. Like he's in tournaments and we had talked about it last year when I was kind of like, I went back out and he said, well, maybe if you play poker, and I thought about it, I was like, because poker is like, when you watch it on TV, it's so slow. First of all, to me, gambling is like, okay, boom, I want to hit the bing, 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 bing. I want to hit the slot machine, or I want the blackjacks going fast. I want things, especially with that's the gamifying the phone now. It's like you can bet each quarter, you can bet live bets. It's like that's the gambling mind. So when I watch real poker being played in those tournaments, it's so fucking slow. I'm like, I would be terrible at this. Number one, I'm sure I would have a tell if I had like pocket aces. I'd be like, you know, but I don't know if I could. I would just be going all in every time, all in, all in, all in. So, but I think we had a discussion about whether that would be like a good step down kind of thing. It's not. I mean, it's still gambling, and I think a lot of those people that are even really good at that and professionals probably have. So not all of them, but some people probably have issues because they're so in that world. So I don't know. I mean, weed. People smoke weed to get off heroin, pills, things like that. So I don't know if there's something else. Yeah, maybe it's beer. Maybe I drink a Corona to the gambling. No, I don't think there's a real thing for that. So it's Oh, I opened up that other page. What was that? Put the glasses back on. Oh, when I was looking up the addiction, that's what it was. What the definition of a disease was, and then I was gonna say what what addiction is. I didn't even do that. I didn't even answer that question correctly. But the Cleveland Clinic defines addiction as a chronic condition that can affect many aspects of your life, including your physical, mental health, relationships, and career. There are two main forms of it. So that's why I looked that up. The disease and addiction, it doesn't match up. So that was my point. I'm just looking at this. There are two main forms of addiction: substance use disorders and behavioral addictions. Addiction is treatable. Yeah. So we have talked to a lot of people with substance addictions, alcohol. We have talked to on this podcast. We've talked with people with opioids, cocaine, a little bit, I guess, mixed in there. Smoking cigarettes, we've done marijuana, hallucinogens. I have a friend that, I just thought of some people. Maybe there's a hallucinogen person. Caffeine. Should we have a caffeine addict on? That one is way more normalized than cigarettes. They're like, oh, I gotta get my coffee. Those are the substance addictions, non-substance addictions. Here we go. That's what I got. Gambling, eating, exercising or dieting, shopping, shoplifting, or other risky behaviors. If you were addicted to shoplifting, having sex, viewing photography, pornography, viewing photography. I was like, video game, internet gaming disorder. It's so funny that that's there. I literally talked to a friend the other day. I said, you know any addicts I can get on my podcast? It's a comic, and he told me he used to be addicted to video games. And I'm like, so maybe we'll have him on. At least for like 5 minutes. I don't have time for that shit. Using the internet, such as your phone or computer, that's everybody. That everybody. I actually have somebody coming on about that too. Sure, you do for us. You keep saying that shit, and then it's just you. I mean, we like you, sort of, but did I answer that question? Yeah, so I don't know. I guess there's not really a step down for gambling. I don't think there's a step down for anything. Again, whatever works for you. We've talked about that, but so I guess there is a step down, but I don't know. Edit that out. Edit that out. Here's another question. I know you're a comedian and you make jokes about being an addict. Do you still have regret for the things you've done in your past? And then there's another add-on question that I'll do later. Yeah, I think I talked about that a couple episodes ago. Guilt. I talked a lot about guilt. I would love, man, you think about people ask you in life things that you know, people always ask you this. If you were playing the lottery and you won, what would you do? I'll answer the other question through this. And people always have all the answers for money. You know, if you had money, this is what you would do. And I've thought about that before, winning the lottery. I don't really, even when I was gambling, wasn't a huge lottery guy, but I did buy the occasional ticket, and then I would sit there and be like, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what gamblers do, by the way. It's in the book in GA and stuff like that. It's like you dream of taking care of these people and giving them gifts and trying to, you know, that's your way of showing that everything. It's the ego part of the addiction. Anyways, I say all that to just say, I don't think people just think about the money thing. People have all the answers, but if you could change really something in your life and it had nothing to do with money, what would it be? Because money can't fix this. And this is what I wish is the things that I feel guilty for and the regrets that I have in my life, they stay in my brain. That whole term living rent free in your head, they're my issues. I created them, but man, they are there every day, I'd say. And little things will remind you of it too, whether it's like a song or, you know, a place that you're going to. I this isn't even a gambling thing. This is, you know, my mom's end of life. She passed away 5 years ago, almost 6 years ago now. And I got in fights with her when she was near the end. A lot of times because we were very similar and both very stubborn, and so we dig our heels in on stuff. But then some of the stuff at the end of her life was, you know, a combination of that kind of stuff, but also the disease taking over and stuff like that. And so we got in a lot of fights, and I always regret that because why would I be doing that? Why would I be fighting with her? I mean, it's just, you know, it's your parent. You're going to get in fights with your parents or your spouse or your significant other sometimes. But I was traveling a lot, and I think she just missed me because I would visit her a lot and go there whenever I could. And I went on a tour with Jim Jeffries through Asia and Southeast Asia, and I was gone for about 3 weeks on that tour, maybe longer. And then after that, I went back and did shows in Bali and that is Indonesia. I went Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, Singapore, Bangkok, and Hong Kong, I believe. So I was back on the road by myself, a lot of that. And then after I did those, I went to Australia and I did shows for about 2 or 3 weeks. I want to say I'd have to go back and look at that, but I did shows in Sydney and Melbourne and Adelaide. I was at the Adelaide Fringe. So I was gone for about 2 months, 2.5 months, a long time. It's a long fucking time I was gone. Anyways, what the fuck is the point of this? Oh, when I was in Indonesia and Bali, I remember I got in a fight with my mom at the airport in Bali, at this one section of the airport. And I went back to Bali the year after she died. And I was there in the airport and I walked by that spot where I got in a fight with my mom on the phone, and it made me sad because I still held on to the guilt of that phone call and getting in that argument with her when I could have easily just let it go, but I didn't, because that is, because we make those decisions on what we're going to do. And with gambling, I mean, it affected my mom a lot. It affected my whole family. I affected the friend I just mentioned a minute ago, and I'm not even sure if I even reached out to him and ever apologized to him, even though he still comes to my comedy shows. That's where I saw him last year. So I'm sure we're still friends, but geez, I've affected friends that I still have now. A lot of friends that I've affected, and so I don't know how to get rid of that guilt and that regret and stuff. That if I could do that, oh my god, if I could figure out how to do that, I would sell that shit. Like, drink this potion, and you won't feel anything anymore. But maybe that's part of it. Maybe I have to reach out to these people. I know that is part of it, but maybe I haven't done that fully yet. Maybe I haven't. They say if someone's passed away, like my mom is, or whoever, you write them a letter, and then you can burn it, or you can just tuck it away, or you can just mail it to a random person, and then they'll be like, "What the fuck is this?" To whom it may concern, I'm sorry that I stole money from you. I'm sorry that I am a piece of shit. That's fun. I think we should practice that. Just send stuff to random. You can send a random letter to people and just say something nice, I guess, but don't. So as far as that was the question. I think I just rambled on there, but do you still have regret? Oh my god, yeah, it's so much. I regret shit I did this morning. Where I'm just like, well, I shouldn't have stopped there. I had to go to the doctor's this morning to get my hand checked because it got stuck in a door when I got locked in a bathroom in St. Petersburg, Florida. I was there with Jim Jeffries doing shows this past week, and I got locked in a bathroom. A sliding glass door came off the tracks. I was in there for 40 minutes. So if you want to picture me naked, stuck in a bathroom for 40 minutes, by all means, there's the image for you. Put it in your head. And I was trying to get I don't know if this glass door must have weighed, it was the door that closed to the bathroom, must have weighed like 200-300 pounds, and it was wedged in the wood. I had to be downstairs. The car was picking us up to go to the theater. I'm panicking. I was in there for that was like 40 minutes. And I finally was able to barely get it open. And when I did it, I moved the door, and my hand was in one of the gaps, and it got squashed. And so I went to the doctor and have it looked at. And I lost some weight in the desert. I lost a little bit of weight. I'm losing, you know what? There was no way to get fast. If I wanted to get fast food, which is my late night fast food is my killer. If it's 11 p.m., I'm like, hey, can I put 2,000 calories in my body before I go to bed? That's like one of my killers, or some ice cream or some bullshit. There was no way to do that. I just was drinking water and cooking my own food, and I just lost weight. And so I'm so OCD and have addictive. If I get started on something, I just kick in. And so the doctor's like, you lost some weight in the last. I was there like a month ago for just a checkup, and so I had to come in for that. And he goes, "You've lost weight." He said it was a lot of weight. I think I had my phone in my pocket last time he with me. But my point is, if I hadn't lost the weight I had, I wouldn't have fit out this. I needed every pound that I lost to get out of this gap that I had created. I squeezed out of the door, and my hand was throbbing, and it was at a Marriott. So I'm going to become a millionaire. If something's wrong with my hand long term, but no, I think it feels like I'm going to be okay, but maybe they can pay my copays. What up, Marriott? How about 5 free nights in Hawaii? I should probably delete this from the podcast in case I get it. Yeah, so I got out of the door, made it to the show. What the fuck was the point of me telling this? I don't remember. I'd have to go back and listen now. I've already lost the point. I've been pretty good at getting back to where I was. I'm sure everybody's screaming at home. It was about the beep, beep, boop, boop. But I know I was talking about guilt and regret and stuff like that. So, yeah, maybe one day it'll be, this morning. That was what it was. I just remembered. So I was on my way to the doctor. Oh, God. Everybody, I could hear everybody tuning out after that. We got one listener left. I was on my way to the doctor, and I did a thing where I was like, I got time to stop at Rite Aid or CVS. I think it was Rite Aid. But I didn't have time. I had an 11:45 a.m. appointment. And so I did it, and then I didn't get, there was no parking. Then by the time I got in there, it was like 11:50 something, and then they put somebody in front of me, and then I had to wait like another half an hour, and then that dominoed effect the rest of my day. And it's fine. I got everything done and stuff, but it just made the whole day go shit. And I was like, why the fuck did I go to Rite Aid? Shouldn't have done that. So that's a lot smaller than the other stuff I'm talking about. But my point is it's a tough thing. So I definitely have a lot of it. The follow-up question to it, by the way, was just, are you happy? I've been really happy lately. I don't know what it is, but I have been happier the last week or so, I'd say. I definitely have. And I've noticed that in my mood. And you know what's funny is they always say your dog, your pets can sense you and stuff. I was like, I can just tell by the way Arnie is that I've been in a better mood. Not that I'm like abusing him or anything. Like I love him and I dote on him and I think he's happy, but we've been vibing. We've been having a good time. Like you're just like, oh, we're in sync. All right, the world's looking good. He's like sunny side up. So yeah, I've been happy, and I don't know quite what the reason is, but maybe it's because I'm doing this podcast. This podcast helps me, definitely. So even if there's nobody listening, I don't care. I don't care. It's me and my dead cat, Bella. It's working for me, I'll tell you that much. So I hope it's working for you guys. Those are all the questions I have today. And that was my solo podcast on purpose. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? What's our next episode? I think next episode's another gambler. So pretty cool. Thanks for being here, everybody. Thank you for being a part of the podcast. I think that's all the questions. It is. As always, if you're feeling shitty, you're feeling down, you're feeling suicidal, crisis hotlines in US and Canada are 988. Do I need to go through the rest of them? I know you guys are probably expecting it. Oh, I wonder what Germany is. It's probably a 03044010607. How's that even a fucking phone number? First of all, 030-44, then space 010. There's like a quarter of the people in Germany that are here, and they can't have a normal fucking phone number. Although our phone number, I always wonder that, because our phone numbers, ours in the States are 3 for the area code, 3 digits for the area code, 3 digits, and then 4 digits. And that probably looks weird to other countries. And then other countries, I'm like, how is 0 first in the United Kingdom? 0800689. Suicide and crisis hotlines on the Wikipedia page. Reach out to somebody if you're feeling down, no matter who it is. Reach out to a stranger. Write a to whom it may concern letter. Anyways, I think I said 25 times, so that's a little bit lower than normal. I'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks for listening. Love y'all.